So the only time that you could actually enjoy anything about life was when he went to work.
Yes.
You could have a normal
Yep,
day
fun,
somewhat.
yep.
But then when the
He's
afternoon
coming
came,
home.
he's coming home. That's when it all changed.
I have to watch that clock.
And so you would actually go up in that room and you'd stay there?
Stay there.
By yourself? Now, what about supper? Like,
No, I didn't. What would happen is if there was anything left over, my two brothers were assigned to me, they bring scraps up, whatever, and I wolf it down in the dark. But if there was nothing left, I went to bed hungry. It's just the way it had to be, eh? I used to run downtown, Rob, where the grocery stores were, they had the fruit out front, and watch, make sure nobody's looking, and I'd run fast as I could. I'd grab a bunch of bananas, a handful of oranges, and run for my life. I used to do this. Or I used to get my buddies, my friends, say, do you think you'd get me a cookie? They say, well, I really need a cookie. They go home, I remember one time this boy went home and I heard his mother say, why doesn't he go home and have his own cookies? He's got a home, hasn't he? He said, well, he just wants a cookie. He said, oh, here, give him a cookie. But I mean, they didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
So they're going, why would you want a cookie, you know? And so it was a constant strain and stress. And one of my brothers the other day, Rob, you get a kick out of this one, reminded me that when we were little kids, I went to school for 3 days in a row with no shoes on. And my story was, I forgot my shoes. I'd forgotten all about it until he reminded me. And he said, he went to school, and I didn't have any shoes. So I went to school for 3 days in my bare feet because I didn't have any shoes. And my mother was trying to get me a pair from someplace, and finally did. But for 3 days, I forgot my shoes. We're still laughing about that one. But I mean, I look back, and there are some funny things that happened, and yet the grueling fact was, and my mother, now, here's the problem. Here's the problem with child abuse. You take the shame and the blame. I figured I was a piece of garbage. I'm ashamed of myself. You put the mask on.
Because of what your stepfather was
saying to me. And then my mother, now my mother was abused too. He would sit her at the table all hours of the night on a Friday night and curse her. And curse me. And I would be upstairs buried under my brother's bodies. He didn't know I was home. And I hear all this. And I'm thinking, it's my fault. He's beating Mom up because of me, because he made a reference to me all the time. If I could die, he'd treat her nice. No, he wouldn't, but as a little kid, I just stand on the bridges and look at the water thinking, I should jump, I didn't want to die. And you know, Rob, young people don't commit suicide today. You need to know this. Because they want to die, they think nobody cares. And that's exactly where I was at. I thought nobody cared. I thought, there's no way for me. And now he's taking it on Mom, so the shame and the blame, Maury Blair took it all. It was a hard thing to battle with. It was a very difficult thing to battle with. It really was. It was difficult.
Now, were there any times that you came close to taking your life?
I stood on bridges and looked at the water.
So you were that close to actually...
I looked up on the big train bridge and thought, that goes over Paris. I thought, if I could get up there and face the train, I'll die. If I can't face the train, I'll jump. So either way, Maury Blair's going to die.
Right.
I mean, then I thought he'll treat Mom better. No, that wouldn't solve any problems at all. I mean, as a little kid, that's what I was thinking, eh? But no, you come to the point where you just don't know what to. I look back and shake my head and wonder that I didn't die. I do. I don't know what kept me. I think God must have kept me because there was times when I thought, I can't take any more of this. I'd be hiding on verandas in the winter with an old blanket wrapped around me. I can't go home. He's in a violent mood. And I'm praying. I did praying when I was a kid. Please, God, kill me. Send lightning from heaven, strike me dead, so that when he comes looking for me and finds me, I'll already be dead. Won't that fix him? I'll be gone. But I didn't really want to die, but I was terrified. I was a frightened, terrified little kid. I really was,
And Mom couldn't protect you?
She couldn't do a thing. She couldn't do anything. Eh? She was pretty helpless, and she couldn't show me any love. She didn't dare. She made a mistake one time. She brought me downstairs. She sat me on her knee. I'll never forget it. And I looked out the window, the front window, and cars are going by because I wasn't allowed down there. And then she had to send me back upstairs quickly before he got home. Well, when he came home, one of the kids made a mistake. One of the younger kids said, hey, Dad, Mom had Maury downstairs sitting there. Isn't that neat? Oh, he went berserk. Oh, he beat me up, cursed my mother. So she couldn't show me the real love that she wanted to simply because it would cause me more problems. So she had to step back. She really had to step back. It was very difficult. It really was. For her, too. My heart goes up to her. I mean, she's gone home to be with the Lord. That's wonderful. But she had a tough time, too. She really did.
Now, what about, with all this going on at home, what about school, going to school? Like, did anybody pick up on this at school?
It's hard to say. I think they did. Like, one time I pulled a real caper on one of my teachers in grade 4. And I deserved the strap. I mean, that's what you got in those days. The kids said, I have no idea. At any rate, she made me stay after school. And she looked at me, she said, you know what you did was wrong, don't you? And I go up and said, yes. You know what I could do to you for doing this, don't you? All these imaginations come to the right. Well, she said, I'm not going to do it. I'll probably never forgive myself, but I'm not going to do it. If you'll say you're sorry and promise to never do this again, you can go home. I was in shock. I mumbled an apology, and here's what she said to me. Maury, I know what you're going through in your home, and I don't want to cause you any more problems than you've already got.
Really?
And then she hung her head and walked quietly out of the classroom. She was my favorite teacher.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
Wow.
But she knew. And,
She knew.
and when I was in high school in Brantford, Ontario, I had a big audience with the students.
And it was still going on when you were in high school?
No, this is years later.
Okay.
I'm walking down the hall. This was years later.
Yeah.
And a man comes out of his office and says, "Hey, Maury Blair, Maury Blair." I said, "Yes." He said, "The child abuse victim." I said, "Oh, were you in the meeting?" He said, "No." I said, "Well, I'm not a victim anymore. I'm a survivor."
Yeah.
He said, "Could I talk to you?" I said, "Sure." So we went into his office, and his tears fell up. He said, "I remember you." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I remember you were a little boy." I said, "Really?" He said, "I lived next door to you for just about 6 months." He said, "One cold winter night, there was a blizzard, and I was looking out the window,
Yeah.
and I saw this little kid going by with just a shirt wrapped around him, no coat." And he said, "I couldn't believe my eyes." So I called my mom. Mom, quick, look at this little boy. He'll freeze to death. We got to do something." My mom looked out the window, and she moved me back and shut the curtains. And she said, "We can't help him. His stepfather hates him. We can't get involved." And he said, "It was you,
my.
Maury. It was you." And she tears came, and she said, "Can you ever forgive me and my family for not doing something to help you?" And I said, "Man, you're forgiven. Let me give you a hug." I gave him a hug, and I gave him a copy of my book, Child of Woe.
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm not a victim anymore. I'm a survivor. God bless you, man." I walked down the hall. I looked back, and he was standing like, duh. Like you could, but you see,
Yeah.
he remembered. A lot of it, the police department, I know the police department, they caught us in trouble. One night, the officer wouldn't take me home because he knew I'd be in very serious trouble.
Really?
Yeah. So they were aware of it.
So they were aware of it, but no one actually stepped in.
No
to
one
do
stepped in to help me. No, I was on my own. No one stepped in. Yeah, hard to believe.
Well, when did it end? Like, how
Well,
did
I'll
it?
tell you what happened. When I was 13 and a half, all of a sudden, things changed in our home. And I said to Mom, "How come he's not hunting me down?" She said, "I could run faster, of course, at 13 and a half." She said, "He's very sick. He kept drinking and he was very sick."
Okay.
And she said, "He's got to go to the hospital." So she said, "Just out of his way and he won't bother you." So I do. And I'm in high school. I'm 15 years of age. I come home one day and my mother says, "Maury, you got to quit high school." I said, "Why?" She said, "He's so sick, he's got to go to the hospital. He can't work. And if you don't get a job and help us, I'll lose the 5 younger children." So I had to get a job, quit school, get a job, and help the
Right.
needs of the family for the next 3 years.
And he's sick.
He's sick and in the hospital.
Okay.
So I'm helping pick up the family.
Really?
So do you want me to tell you about how he was when he was dying? I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
My mother comes home from the hospital one day. He's in there, and she said, "Maury, he wants to see you." I said, "What? He wants to see you?" I said, "Why?" She said, "I don't know." I said, "I don't want to see him. Why would I go see him?"
Yeah.
She said, "Well, he wants to see you." So she persisted, you like mothers can do, right? And she persisted, and she said, "Go, just go." So I went with her, and there he's sick and he's dying, and I looked down to his sick, dying face. He may have weighed 65 pounds. And he looked at me and he said, asked me 2 questions. I was on morphine, so he was kind of fading it out. And
Right.
he said, the first one, "Will you change your name?" I'm in total shock. Change my name? He wants to give me the family name? I'm thinking, I can hardly believe it. But I guess he realized I'd stuck it out and helped him out. And I just said, "I can't do that. Too much has happened to me."
Yeah.
Second question, "Will you help your mother raise my kids?" I looked at him, and I thought of all the things he'd done to me. And then I thought, I don't want to be like you. And all I said was, "I'll do it." I went out for a cup of coffee and a cigarette. I came back 15 minutes later, and he's dead. He's gone. And I remember looking down into his dead face thinking, all the damage, all the pain, all the hurt, and he's gone. And it was the strangest feeling, Rob, strangest feeling, see him gone.
Wow.
And so I just jumped in and helped my mother, did the best I could to help with the family. So it ended there. That's how it ended, yep.
Wow. Now, just two things, Maury. Talking about the power of God
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
I know your mom was an evangelist, but there was the story that you told me earlier about your stepfather was going to
Yes.
actually kill you, and
That's right.
something unique happened.
Yeah, I was upstairs in the boys' bedroom. My brother and I, one of my brothers and I, were looking at watching the water rage by. In Paris those days, the water came right up, chunks of ice going by, and all of a sudden I turned to my brother and said, "He's here, he's here." He said, "Who?" I said, "The old man. He's here." I sensed it. He said, No, he's not even home yet." All of a sudden he leaped into the room in a rage, and he said, "Oh, you like that flood, do you?" He walks over and grabbed him by the scruff of the neck. He lifts up the
How old
window.
were you? Sorry.
I would be 6 or 7, in there
Okay.
somewhere, hangs me out the window. Well, here I am, hanging out the window. And my brother's got his arms wrapped around his legs. Yelling, "No, Dad, no, you'll kill him, you'll kill him." And I'm hanging out there. And you know what I was thinking? Rob's crazy. I know. I was thinking, drop me. I'll hit the water. I'll grab a chunk of ice. I'll float downstream. And one of my 2 brothers who have been assigned to...
You had a little plan.
They'll get me out. They'll get me out. I'm not even dead minutes.
Boy.
All of a sudden, I heard another noise. And I looked past his raving face, and there was my little mom. There was a glow on her. She was downstairs, and she heard all this. She came up those stairs. I guess she'd been praying.
Yeah.
It's amazing. God hears the cry of the heart
Wow.
that's hurting.
Yeah.
And she stood with a glow on her face, and she pointed at the back of his head. And this little 5'2" mom, she said, "Cyrus, in the name of Jesus, bring that boy in and put him down." And I'm looking into his face, and I saw a look of horror come over his face. I mean, he was afraid of nobody.
Yeah.
But the look, And he brought me in, and he set me down, and he hung his head like a whipped dog and walked quietly out of the room.
Wow.
And I'm lying there on the floor. I guess I should have been thinking, man, was I never close? You know what I was thinking? He was afraid. He was afraid. Jesus scared him off. He was afraid.
Wow.
That was the first impact deeply on my life that Jesus made on my life at that time.
Wow.
And we went to Sunday school and everything.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
That was the moment.
That was the moment right there that I thought, God must have his eye on me. Could he see me? It was amazing.
Now tell us how you actually gave your life to Christ.
Well, that was amazing. I was after my stepfather died, it was about a year later.
Okay.
And we were living in very, very difficult circumstances. I call it a shack. I don't know what else to call this place we're living in. And my mother one day handed me a book. She said, you ought to read this book. And I said, what is it? I looked at the cover and it said, stay alive all your life. That's good advice.
No, for you,
By Dr.
yes.
Norman Vincent Peale.
Okay.
And so I took it to the back shanty and I started to read it. And I don't know what else to say, Rob. I had a personal encounter with the living God in that room all alone. He touched my life. Nobody brainwashed me.
Right.
Nobody talked to me. The Holy Spirit of God breathed into my life. I remember leaping up off the bed saying, that's it. That's it. That's what I've been looking for. I walked out of that room. My mother took one look at me and said, what's happening to you? I said, God was in that room back there, Mom. I just met him. My whole life changed from that moment on.
Wow.
I mean, I wasn't completely healed of all my pain,
Right.
my bitterness, my anger, but a marvelous inside change took place in me in that moment in that back room.
By yourself?
All by
reading
myself
That book,
in that book.
and no one told you anything?
Nobody told me that God just made himself real to me. It was marvelous, marvelous experience. And when I was a little kid, went to Sunday school, they were wonderful people. They used to say, Maury Blair, Jesus loves you. I go home and get my face bashed in. I couldn't, you know what I mean? Like, how does a kid understand
How do
that?
you relate to that, yeah.
But when I got that encounter with the living God, everything changed. It was marvelous. Marvelous experience.
That's powerful.
Never forget it.
And you were how old that time?
I was about 18 years of age.
About 18 years of age.
Yep.
Helping out with the family.
Yep, helping my
time.
mother.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, God comes into that space. Isn't it amazing? He's looking for us.
Yes.
We're supposed to be looking for him. He's looking for us. It's marvelous, marvelous.
No, we're at 18.
Yeah.
You encountered Christ. I mean, did you get involved in church or what
But you
happened?
know, it was amazing. For a whole year, I got saved. My mother comes back. We're having beautiful meetings with God in that little shack. One day I said to my brothers are getting saved. It was marvelous how God brought them in.
Okay.
And so one day I said to my brothers, hey, we should go to church. They said, church? Why? I said, well, every Sunday I see people go by or go to church. And I said, well, where will we go? I said, where do you want to go? They named every church except the Pentecostal church that we used to go to down the street, because they don't know it. And I said, well, what about the church right down the street? And they said, are you crazy? They'll all remember us. I said, yeah, but you remember how they loved us? Yeah. I said, why don't we go back and give them another chance to love us? So this whole gang gets up next Sunday morning, and down the street we go. I have a dear friend. His name was John Richardson. His brother used to live right across the road from the church.
Yeah.
He's out reading the newspaper Sunday morning. He told his brother later, he sees this gang of hoots coming down the street. Where are they going? And we march up into the church. Well, he puts his paper down. There's going to be a riot. They're going to steal the offering. We walked in, Rob, walked down, took up the whole second row in the front. The place was buzzing. They didn't tell us till years later. They were a little embarrassed, but they were whispering, like, what are they doing here? What are they up to? Boy, when that offering plate went down our aisle, every eye on the building watched it go, because they didn't know if we were giving or receiving it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it hit them. God's done something in these guys' life. And Pastor Jack Ozard was our first pastor. Great mentor, great friend.
Yeah.
And he welcomed us. I was shocked. He actually welcomed us into the church. And you know, the second Sunday we went back, we're sitting there, and I looked over at the pianist or the organist, and I thought, I know her. That's Miss Matthew, one of our teachers from school. And she was sitting there playing, and she was crying. And I thought, wow, she looked like she was really having a hard time. Yeah. So at the end of the meeting, I go over and I say, hello, Miss Matthew, I know you won't remember me. She said, remember you, Maury Blair? Oh, I remember you. And she said, the child abuse victim. I said, you knew? She said, yes, I knew. I've been praying for you since you were a little boy.
Wow.
I said, really? She said, yeah. I said, now, are you okay? I know what you're crying. Oh, that crying? That was for you. I looked over and saw the little Maury Blair, the little kid.
Wow.
There is a young adult sitting there serving God. She said, I couldn't help do anything but cry all through the service. Wow. So people prayed for me, and that was wonderful, eh?
But for the grace of God.
My grandma prayed for me too.
Yeah.
Oh, my dear old grandma prayed for me too. She really did, yep.